Good morning. Good morning to all of you. IICA Northeast Conclave 2025. We will start our program within a few minutes. We will start our program from 10 a.m. Thank you.
Hello, good morning to all of you. Just for checking the audio visual. Hello, check, check, check. One, two, three. Hello, check. check, check. Check, check.
A very good morning, friends. My name is Dr. Neeraj Gupta from Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. A very good morning to all of you and a warm welcome for your encouragement and enthusiasm to this 2 days IICA's Northeast Conclave, Ideation to Incorporation. It was a pleasure having you all during the inaugural session chaired by the Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Mr. Conrad Sangma, the Chief Secretary of Government of Meghalaya, Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and our Director General and CEO of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. We are grateful that we were having your presence and active engagement all throughout the day during the sessions as well as the exhibit area. Some of you could display their initiatives of your own startups. Others may not, but this is just a beginning of a journey. IICA, with its presence in Northeast through its regional campus, which is going to come up in New Shillong Township, is committed to work with you for your progression, committed to work with you for your help on a number of aspects where startups need support. It could be in the form of compliances, it could be in the form of nurturing your ideas, it could be having the possible connects with all the support services and functions that you require to scale up. It could be in the form of helping you setting up a compliance and governance system in the organization. And it could be in the form of any other policy or regulatory support that you may need for sustenance, for growth and scaling up. We invite you to join us in this journey. Yesterday, the Honorable Minister has inaugurated our foundation laying ceremony for the regional campus. We'll be coming up in very fast manner with the support of the government of Meghalaya. But of course, in order to make all the services available to you, right from the next day, we are operationalizing our temporary regional campus here in the campus of IIM Shillong, where we'll be having our officers who will be helping you. I invite you all to join this journey. Help us by sharing your expectations, your requirements in a very explicit manner, and also help us guiding on various challenges which you face while you operate in the northeastern 8 states. We are new to the region. Without your guidance, without your support, we will not be able to travel to this journey and make all the possible supports available to you in terms of guidances, in terms of capacity building. If I briefly tell, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs is an institution set up by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and we are committed for capacity building of professionals, startups, their founders, and all those associated who are leading the entrepreneurial journey also falls within our ambit. We are committed to serve you with the help from you. Now, we have to begin the journey of the day 2. Day 1, I'm sure all of you have enjoyed the discussions in 4 panels and also the concluding fireside chat where we were having 5 prominent startup founders sharing their journey, their challenges, and their way forward. We had been having a number of learning points out of them. We will definitely be preparing our own action plan so that we can just not support them, but all those who expressly could not come in front. For beginning with the day 2, we have the panel 5 on policy in practice, discussions on grants, incentives, and support mechanisms that is available to the entrepreneurial ecosystem and specifically startups. I have with me my colleague, Mr. Mukesh Kumar, who is heading the Center for CSR. I'm sure most of you are aware, but CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility, where corporates have been mandated by our ministry to earmark 2% of their net profit based on the average net profits of last 3 years on activities of social engagements and inclusivity in a number of areas the corporates can choose from. A number of corporates have spent amount, and there are many more who are poised to engage with this partnership with the citizens and also multiple stakeholders in the Northeast region. In times to come, I'm sure this will scale up to infinity. So Mr. Mukesh Kumar, who is my colleague and heading the Center for CSR and Corporate Citizenship, is with me. He's going to be the moderator of the session. I invite you, sir, on the dais. And as panelists, we have Mr. Pranta Pratim Singha. He is the Chief Manager to NRL Startup Venture Funding, has extensive experience working with the startup ecospace and also their funding challenges. One of the biggest challenges that we understand is a funding challenge, both in terms of seed capital as well as in terms of scaling up strategies and action plans. I'm sure he will give some light. Then we have with us Mr. Himanshu Joshi, who has, I invite you, sir, on the stage, who has traveled from Delhi. He represents Niti Aayog. I'm sure most of you must be aware of Niti Aayog. He is a director with Niti Aayog and dealing with Atal Innovation Mission, a mission which covers up various initiatives of the government for incubators, accelerators, and startups. Then we also have with us our colleague, Professor Varnita Srivastav. She is a professor in IIM Shillong in the finance and control area with extensive experience in dealing with the issues on financing on startups and how this financing is supported by various grants, incentives, and subsidies from the government. I'm sure careful listening to this deliberation will certainly help you in your journey. I thank you once again and pass the mic over to the moderator of the session, Mr. Mukesh Kumar.
Thanks, Dr. Gupta. Thanks for such a lovely introduction to this entire panel. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Last person? Okay, great. So what we are going to do today, yesterday you heard all the various types of funding which is available. So either through the government setup, formal channels of banking, or with the venture capitalists. So we have now an overview of how much funding can be made available to the people. The government is also not far behind. Different state governments, central government schemes are there, which are going to have a much more lasting impact on flourishing the startup ecosystem in the country. So this distinguished panel that I have with me today actually going to take you through those processes. And my request would be that once the speaker has spoken, and towards the end, we will keep some time for your question answer sessions. And if we can answer well, otherwise, we'll be referring it to the concerned agencies, those who are responsible for it. So welcome fellow panelists here. May I request you to have just a quick introduction of what you do, and then we'll take up the session forward. Starting with ma'am. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, sir. I'm working here as a faculty in the area of finance and control. And what was my motivation for being a part of this journey is because I've been operational in this region for last 3 years. And I have observed over a period of time that how much this ecosystem in the state is trying to encourage entrepreneurship, definitely. And apart from that, as a student of business and management for, almost 15 years now, I have seen that this is one of the major segments where we all need to actually cater to. And the intervention that comes in the form of policies and practices for government are of key importance. So my major area of interest has been governance. And when I say governance, how it is taking a shape when the organization is evolving from being an idea to a startup to a corporation. So I would want to share my insights about that today in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vanita. May I request our fellow panelist Himanshu Joshi ji to give this address?
So I'm an MBA grad myself from XLRI. Did about 10 years of consulting, and I think during those years of consulting, I was doing government projects for a year and a half. I think that's where the initial motivation to sort of work for the government started, because in consulting, in government, you can potentially see the impact at a larger scale, although the time can be debatable. Some are easily implementable, some take more time. In my current role at NITI Aayog, I work for an organization called Atal Innovation Mission, which is the federal innovation body of the Government of India, formed in 2016 as a part of the cabinet approval. We started with 4 programs: Incubation Center, Tinkering Lab, ANIC, which is a hackathon challenge, and then subsequently after the IICA program, which is the incubation program, we started something called the Atal Community Innovation Program, which is essentially incubation at a smaller scale, more focused on grassroots. Recently, the cabinet approved AIM 2.0, which is extension of the existing programs and piloting a few new programs. I'll talk a little bit more detail as we sort of go on.
Thank you very much. May I request Mr. Pranta to give your introduction, please?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a lovely city, Shillong, and so is the campus of IIM Shillong. Good morning, everyone in IIM Shillong. I am Pranta Pratim Singha, and I am from Numaligarh Refinery Limited. Let me give a brief about Numaligarh Refinery also before introducing myself. Numaligarh Refinery is a central public sector enterprise, CPSE, under the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. What we do is basically we refine crude oil that we get from the earth and make them diesel and petrol, in very simplified terms. That's what we do. I have been working in NRL for more than about 22 years now, with overall corporate experience of around 24 years. Why I am here today is maybe because I have been associated with the program called NRL Ideation, which is the startup support program of NRL. I'm associated with this program for the last 7-8 years. And this program is specifically aimed to support startups from the northeastern region with grant funding, as well as we also do have an equity investment program, which we do through our fund manager Netfee. We call that venture fund as NRL Ideation Angel Fund. Over the last 8 years, if I am correct with the numbers, we have supported around 68 startups from the entire Northeast region. In fact, last year we supported one from Meghalaya also. We have a kitty of around 20 crores for the grant funding and 30 crores for the equity investment part of it. I think later on in the discussion I will speak more about that. This is in short my introduction. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Pranta. My name is Mukesh Kumar, and I head the Center for Corporate Social Responsibility and Corporate Citizenship at IICA. And I have a varied experience of the development sector of over 30 years now. There's no one faculty which I have left out. I work with the government, I work with the multilateral institutions like World Bank and DFID, the bilateral institutions like DFID, USAID. I also work with the private sector, including Amul, one of the largest cooperative societies. I have worked with them. And over the last 10 years, when this corporate social responsibility law came, I was brought in at IICA, and since then, since 2013, 2014 onwards, I have been associated with this entire program. My aim of today would be to give you an idea through our fellow panelists of what kind of support is actually available from the government side. You heard the financial institutions talking about what kind of requirements do they have. But from the government side, what all things are required. So my first question would be to Madam Srivastava is what, in the Northeast region, we know the central government has got a lot of other schemes, but in the Northeast region, what is the support available from the various state governments here?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the question. So as I said, specifically, I have been involved and have been following up the programs that are running in the state of Meghalaya. So to highlight a few, I would quote the PRIME project, which is considered as the pet project of the state CM. And this is about providing an ecosystem at a younger age to students in colleges and institutions. So what are they doing through this is they are encouraging the constitution of entrepreneurship clubs or cells inside educational institutions. And then the students through that platform are getting mentorship ideas on how they can think about generating employment by bringing in their own initiatives, ventures, and they're mentoring. So these are backed by various programs where they go, compete, pitch their ideas and plans, and a few of them definitely get picked and are trained further so that they can develop the business in the desired direction, whatever is the outcome. So maybe yesterday, a lot of the stalls that we have noticed down there, a lot of them were coming under the ambit of that program too. Then another one that is going on in this region is, again, it's the CM's project itself that is known as CM Catalyst, where I think the deputy commissioners of the region are basically given this, I would say, responsibility in terms of identifying the right opportunities and then linking it to the incubation ecosystem that is available in the state. Apart from that, if we look at the northeastern region, so under the ambit of NIPER in Assam, they are working on the BioNest project. BioNest is where you are getting in, incubation for innovative ideas in the biotech and healthcare sector, basically. And apart from that, if I have to talk about, so I mean, when we see it's almost across the entire Seven Sisters plus Sikkim that these regions, the state administration here has been trying to encourage youth and people who have entrepreneurial abilities to further mentor them and bridge that gap between them working from their own local community-based regions to bring it to the mainstream, I would say, and provide them with the necessary requirement in terms of grants, subsidies, even mentorship as and when required. So they are also put into different kind of training programs also, which are happening from time to time. Now, what I have overall, my observation about this is that when we look at the role of organizations like government or any such agencies who have the power to devise policies, provide grants, or let's say train and mentor people on how they can be upskilled and brought into the formal system of being an entrepreneur. So my approach to look at this thing is from 4 perspectives that I have tried to summarize in different terminologies, which would be acceptance, access, anchor, and alliance. Okay, so to elaborate on the acceptance part of it, so let's say if you are a business, any of us who are sitting in the room, if we have an idea, and by the good fortune and our training and our dedication, if we get to seek and let's say achieve any of the grants or any of the funding under any of the policies of government anywhere in this country, we do earn a brand value through that, which means this is helping us create an acceptance in the eyes of all types of stakeholders, be it your suppliers, be it your buyers, anybody that we are trying to work with in order to grow and sustain in the market. So that is the acceptance part of it. That plays a very important role. So if I go somewhere, let's say a lot of our students also, so they are trying to create their own business models and they try to get funding, and all such ideas are taken to such platforms. So the one condition and question that usually the investors put is, are you incubated by any such agency or body, right? So they have certain criteria, because it's kind of ensuring that your feasibility of model has been already approved and you have received the definite desired training for that, right? So one part of it is acceptance. The second one we talk about in terms of access. So this is coming from my awareness of how you earning a reputation is helping you gain easy access to finance. So let's say first stage I have received some seed funding, or let's say any kind of incubation from an agency like this, and I have to go and get myself financed further in the market. Then having such a backing and a brand attached, or let's say a certification of that sort attached with my name, is going to help me get cheaper sources of finance from the market. So the access part is one key thing. I mean, we cannot say that business is ever going to be having enough money. They need to continue to grow and evolve, and with that they need the requirement of funds at different stages. So having this access is also one of the important factors. Now the anchor part of it. Okay, so this is when, let's say, the product has been developed, some seed funding is done, and then the value of death concept that we talk about in the startup ecosystem. When you have a lot of expenses incurred because you are into the production process, but yet the revenue has not been realized, right? So in this phase, any business would need an anchor kind of a support or an accelerator kind of backing. And that comes through the direct schemes that we just quoted over here. And we have something in the central system. So let's say you are getting a collateral-free borrowing, right, as a startup. So all of these schemes are helping them sustain, accelerate, or let's say at least navigate the value of death phase. So the government, we should not, as a policy maker, the orientation should not be just to identify the right potential and finance their prototype development or something like that, but it should be also help them sustain at least to that level where they are able to explore all the possibilities of obtaining and sustaining into the market in terms of the resources that they need. And the last one that I had kept here is the alliance. So all the schemes or interventions or any such trainings that they have, I mean, let's not ignore that government is not just doing it to identify entrepreneurs in the market, but there is a targeted return that they are expecting. And when we talk about return in terms of finance, sir, it is a different ecosystem, but here the outcome that is targeted is social return. It's environmental return. So when you talk about an initiative or scheme which is coming up with such grants and funding, it is not about just you sustaining in the market as a business, but also through your engagement, how many stakeholders are getting benefited, how you're uplifting the standard of living of people who are staying in that region. So the alliance has to be, I mean, the goal of the business has to be aligned with the goal of the policy maker, and in line with that, periodic intervention, review must be done so that the, let's say, the correction can be done in terms of any deviation if that is happening. So that is my perspective about how the policy and the ecosystem of this thing should be going around. Thank you.
Very good, very good. So you got an idea of how through the policy support also, you need to pass through various stages of doing that. Now my second question to you, Mr. Joshi, would be, having a perspective is okay, having the policies are okay, but how can the founders or how can the startup at various stages can actually find out what are the, how can they access these systems? There are various gatekeepers we find always, those who come in between when it comes to accessing that. And my general interaction with the participants yesterday said that there are a lot of gatekeepers are there. So how the founders can actually accept or access those incentive schemes which are available from the government side. So both from the central government side as well as from the general perspective of user, how they can access it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the first thing, I'll slightly modify the question and maybe include not only the founders but innovators as well. Because you become before becoming a founder, you are actually an innovator. You're trying to build something. And then maybe one stage before that could be a student, right? He or she could be a school student, or he or she could be a university student or an R&D institution, right? So combine all of them and they are your potential sort of an entrepreneur, either today or in the future, right? There are multiple ways on which the support will be built. One could be, as everybody talks about, funding, right? But I think a lot of founders need more than funding. Some of them probably require mentoring. A lot of them may require support to sort of register, build IPs and all that, right? So there are multiple ways in which the support is required, right? And that will eventually lead to a better sort of a startup. Combining all of them, right? I'll start from the student first, right? If there's a school student or a university student, at that stage, you'll probably have an idea, right? The support probably comes, one, from a lot of hackathons that the government does, or a lot of these foundations or corporates does. For example, sir mentioned about the support. Maybe he's also running a hackathon for the Northeast, right? This again will get broken down into two parts. One could be your respective state or area that you belong to. So example, donor will have a lot of schemes. For Northeast, Meghalaya government will have, ma'am talked about the Meghalaya government scheme, and then there's central government schemes. Again, if you break down the central government schemes, Atal Innovation Mission is one part which is sector agnostic, right? So we will not sort of build any support to a startup or an incubator to do X, Y, Z. Although a BIRAC will be focused on a biotechnology, a MIT may be focused on electronics and IT specific, right? So I think it's important for a founder or innovator to realize where does he lie. And it's okay that he lies in two buckets, right? So you may be a biotechnology and also something related to information technology, right? So you can look at funds and opportunities from both the ministries, and also Atal Innovation Mission, which is sector agnostic, right? So that's the broad outcome. Now coming to your question, and it's a very valid question, and I think somebody raised that point yesterday as well, right? How do I as a founder know what's happening, right? I think one initiative that the government of India started, and it's not our ministry, but Ministry of Commerce, GPIIT, they start mapping each person or organization in this ecosystem to a Bhaskar ID. So every innovator, every incubator, every VC was asked to register himself, herself, or itself into this portal, which will start mapping what exactly do you do. For example, if somebody is sitting in this room and thinking of an idea where he wants to aggregate XYZ thing that goes into making a drone. For example, he wants to become aggregator of products that goes on to make a drone, right? If he goes to that portal, and it's not, at this point of time, it's not that sort of advanced where you can actually find, but the eventual idea is that I go there and I figure out that which are the potential sort of people who are looking to build a startup in drone. For example, I can find a market to them, right? It also maps down to the government schemes. So all government institutions and their larger, for example, AIM could be mapped there, but also AIM incubators could be mapped there. AIM's mentors could be mapped there, right? And because every individual has one ID. For example, there could be a mentor who could be sitting on Atal Innovation Mission as well as, let's say, METI as well as BIRAC, right? But he will still have one ID, right? And it will map to his sort of expertise. So if I want to reach out to that mentor, right, I reach out to that mentor directly. I don't go through the route of Atal Innovation Mission incubator or to a METI incubator, right? But it's still at a very nascent stage, because see, ours is a very diverse country, right? The biggest challenge is first to ensure that these people come onto the portal. The second challenge is for them to sort of put the right keywords map to them. I don't want somebody to reach out to somebody where he says, hey, I am not the right person, right? So I think that first level has just started, right? I think it's about 4 or 5 months, they're still trying to consolidate and collate everything. The other thing is also, if you go to the same Startup India portal, you'll find a list of entire 1,74,000 startups. So if you go there and probably put your filter of sector and subsector, you could actually reach out to potential startups in that space. The third thing, and this came because we have done a joint SOI with World Intellectual Property Organization, which works on the IP, right? Now, when the DG Vaipo was here in India and he visited DPS Mathura Road as one of the ATL school and the IIT Delhi incubator, I think his view to everybody was that before even getting into an idea and building on it, just go to the Vaipo's website and see if there's an IP already there on that, right? Because then you start building on something with the intellectual properties with somebody else, right? So you'll not be able to build a startup out of it, right? And also you will figure out what is missing in that. For example, if an IP is already registered in a particular innovation, invention's name, can you make something slightly more specific to that and then file an IP? And he was very clear to every innovator, every founder in that room, that this is the mistake that a lot of people in the developing world do. They start building on an idea and later on they realize, hey, I can't sort of scale up this because this is already IP protected.
Thanks. That was very eye-opener. And this is one of the questions which people actually do not ask, but keep on wondering how to figure it out in this world. So both this DPIT as well as this WIPO thing is very important for all of us to look at before we actually start working on it, right? So now the question to you, Pranta, would be how you have seen this implementation over the last 8 years, 10 years? 8 years, you have said. Obviously, everything looks hunky-dory once it is in the policy and the things comes up. But what are the bottlenecks that generally the startups face in this entire journey, and how the institutions can support them? If you could have a little more idea about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think all startup needs to know what will be their future bottlenecks or what are the challenges that they will face. I think I will share some of my experiences with dealing with startups, what kind of problems they have faced, as well as program implementers, what kind of problems we faced with regard to rolling out this NRL ideation program. To begin with, when we started in 2016-17, we were just going through the funding landscape for startups across India. We realized that in all of India, there are only 6 or 7 pockets back in 2017 where a startup would get funding. Mostly in Bangalore area, then NCR, and you can Mumbai, Pune or Chennai, all those big cities. The entire 96% of the funding at that point of time in India was in those places, in those small pockets. So what would have happened to the tier 2, tier 3 city startups? What they will do? We realized that, and that's why we said that no, we will keep it only sector agnostic, while we keep it sector agnostic, our program, but we will keep it geography centric, because Northeast requires some funding, some people who will support startups. That's why we started with this Northeast focused startup funding program. That's one. That's the first problem that the startups face, is the funding. Who is going to believe your idea? Who is the first believer? So that's what, because, and there is one problem that you face. Second, I think I will just repeat what Mr. Himanshu Joshi has already said. He has already mentioned. A lot of us, when we have some kind of idea, we get very excited that we have something new, innovative idea. But over 6-7 months, you realize that that idea has already been implemented by somebody else. It is already there. So it might as well be a copy of that idea. So that is something that you will realize. So that's where you need to do a course correction. You need to find out what can be done, what else can be done, or what correction can be done. Funding is one part of it, and as students, I'm speaking, I believe that a lot of upcoming startups sitting here would be some students. Many students sometimes do not realize, of course, they cannot foresee what can happen in a business. Eventually, you all are IIM students, so I guess you will know that at the end of the day, the biggest investor, the main investor will be your customers at the end of the day. That is how you need to look at your startup venture. You will get some grant funding today. Tomorrow you will, while developing your product or idea, then at the end of the day, if you cannot sell your product to your customers, you cannot survive. So that mantra you should remember. So customer is, again, it's all there in the books. You have to remember that. Coming back to some of my experiences of successes and failures of some of the startups that we have funded. Yesterday, I think 2 startups were here whom we have funded. One was Mr. David Gogoi. He was representing Geran Bricks. They are into AAC brick manufacturing. So they are doing quite well. And another one, Madam is here, Dr. Chayanika. Hello, Madam. So this Geran Bricks, how they have started. So they came out of the college project actually. He must have told you yesterday. And then he needed the first believer, who would believe that he can convert his idea into a business. They came to us, we supported them with a grant funding. Of course, there were other parties also, Assam Startup also supported them at that point of time with some small grants. We did support them to set up some additional R&D facilities and scale up their business. Now, and also at some point of time, one of the key aspects to it, what we do as a funding program is that sometimes we become a customer to them as well. In the initial days, when he was trying to sell his products, we said that we will buy some of it. We'll make sure that you can at least operate your plant at certain throughput. So that's what we did. Then, of course, later on, we also invested equity in that startup. That's where I think that phase comes later. Once you have a grant funding, you validate your idea, you go to market, and then you realize that you need more funding to scale up. That's where probably we'll take some equity funding. While that may not be true for all kind of startups. And there is one more example I just wanted to share. I mean, from Northeast itself, there is a startup called One Tracker. Just yesterday, I met him. They built one ERP software for the last mile logistic companies. Just like Flipkart's e-cart for Flipkart, they have made the ERP software for e-cart. A similar product, I would say, similar product. And they have a software development center in Guwahati today, where they have around 25 to 30 odd software engineers who's developing or giving service to various companies. And that company got acquired by an Australian company, and their entire operation is in Australia right now. And just to give, I hope this gives you some kind of inspiration. These 20, 30 odd software developers are now from Guwahati, serving customers in Australia. So in today's age, with this industry 4.0, 5G, and everything happening here, I think anything is possible. Even from Shillong also, you can run a successful business, servicing customers across the globe. I mean, with that, I think.
Thank you. Thanks very much. We have not now got an idea about what are the government schemes, how you can actually start accessing them, what are the bottlenecks, and whom to reach out to once it comes to getting the support for various kind of startups. Now I would like to throw this floor open for some of the questions on all these three aspects. I have one question from Mr. Tony. Would you like to speak for some time? Or what are the bottlenecks that you are facing?
Good morning. I am from Arunachal Pradesh. We have a winery. It's called Norfel Winery. We make wines from locally grown fruits. You must be hearing about the wines, and any wines, only fruit base is from the grapes wines. No one has made wines from the fruits. So we have made from kiwi, apple, persimmon, then ginger, honey ginger, etc. So basically, the corporate affairs, since has given importance to the northeastern region, and we have heard yesterday also, and we need not repeat it. Sir, we want to suggest to the IICA is that the basic problems that we face is the transportation and marketing. We have a lot of potentials. Yesterday also, Honorable Minister also has spoken, and all of you are suggesting that the potentials of Northeast is innumerable. So, but then that is not being extracted properly. So, this has the bottleneck is the main difficulty that we are facing. So therefore, I would like to suggest that since corporate affairs has entered Northeast, why don't these aspects of transportation and marketing be looked into? Because concept of hand-holding should not be limited only to the percolation of ideas only. Because we are very innocent, we are very warm, so we accept people very easily. But then acceptability of us has certain difficulty. So my basic thing is marketing and transportation. And another suggestion is that if a corporate hub can be started at Delhi or any other cosmopolitan city exclusively for the Northeast people. And that should be almost like duty-free. We take our materials there, we sell there at our own rate without paying any tax or incorporating their tax systems.
I think that's a great idea. And in fact, yesterday, Honorable Minister was also speaking about these transportation issues. This export hub idea under the special economic zones would be a good idea to work on. Any other bottleneck any other person is facing?
Hello, my name is Layami. I'm from Ukhrul district, Manipur. It's a wonderful discussion. So my concern and question is, I know, thankfully the government of India has come up with many funding schemes and all that. But as far as I know, to access the fund, the main challenges and hurdle for a startup like me is to access to the fund, one need to company to register it and failing all this compliance. As per my experience, when I started my venture, with the advice of others, I registered my companies without fully understanding the compliance requirement and the challenges involved. So yes, I do engage with the consultant for annual compliance support, but I have faced repeated issues on this. In fact, even my GST got cancelled because they have failed to do the filings and all that. So now, so this has been the biggest challenges and extremely difficult to navigate compliance. And so the biggest hurdles to access, now to apply for the fundings and seed fundings and venture funds, I need the IDR balance sheet for all that. So that has failed me. Yes, even I'm into this wellness foods productions, manufacturing. So how important, like for the ITR filings and all that.
That's
Yeah.
another area where IICA, yesterday you would have heard IICA
Yes.
has started working on the building the capacity of the institutions to access this kind of thing, like
Yes.
right from ideation till incorporation.
Yeah.
All the supports will be available. And we are also working out online training sessions, so you do not have to travel all the way to Delhi or any other places. And there will be certain campuses based the training programs will also be there, where these kind of supports will be made available. Thanks for the
Yeah.
question.
So
Any other?
If
one
I may,
last
if I may
question.
respond to her
Please, please.
query.
Yes.
So-
So can I add one question?
Please.
Like, yesterday we have about that compliance. Just to add on that, like for a startup like me without any prior experience, would it be more advisable to, what is the right time or stage to register the company, or would it be more advisable for a startup like me to start in an LLP or a partnership fund? That's my thank you.
So I will try to answer the first part.
Second part, I'll
yeah.
give you that idea.
So if you want to apply to NRL startup program, which is called NRL ideation, you are not required to register yourself as a company or incorporate yourself as a company. You can apply only with an idea, startup idea. So we are open to only ideas. As individuals, you can apply. As a team, you can apply. As a student, you can apply. Or as an entrepreneur, you can apply. Or as a startup, also you can apply. A registered company can also apply. So we do not have that. We do not keep that as make that as a hurdle for innovators to apply to a program. Yeah.
And to answer your second part of the question of what kind of companies, what kind of things, what I would suggest is that you should first analyze what kind of work that you want to do. There are various forms of companies are available, not just LLP, not just private limited companies. You also have heard yesterday, Madam Secretary Corporate Affairs was telling about the one-person company. And I'm very happy to tell out of the 430 odd registrations that we received, 136 of them are from the one-person company. So that is also one of the area where you can explore on. So we'll, in one-to-one talks, we can give you more advice of how to go about it. So I think we had, any other last question from any of the students or
sir,
any other?
I was going to
Yes,
ask about the question, sir. Can I?
Please, please.
Yes, yes. Yeah, good morning to you all. My name is Huxley L. Colney from Aizawl, Mizoram. I am one of a startup from Mizoram. My question is, what's the fastest way to get funding? Straight and simple for a startup. I think we all want to know that one. Yes. And my second question is, can there be a microfinancing for startup, fast and easy way, like a rolling credit system for startup with low interest? If it's possible, then we all need that thing. It's a rolling credit. We can get it when we want and give it back to them when we can. So if it's in a rolling credit system, I think that would solve our problem, like a 90% of our funding problem. I think if that's implementable, I want to ask the question there. And that's my two questions, straight and simple. If you can answer them, thank you very much.
Now, all these two questions you should have asked yesterday when the panel was there and all the bankers and everybody was available. So there's no fastest way or faster way or fast way of doing the thing. The compliances related or the requirements of funding has to be there. And each one of those startups, right, from ideation stage till you get to stage 1, stage 2, you need to get the proper compliances done, proper registrations done. So depending on which stage you are, your things will be there. Your idea of rolling credit needs to be put into the financial institutions, those who represented yesterday, and we'll take it there. And we'll get back to you if some kind of response comes from them. So,
Would want to, just one more addition here. So when we talk about getting some aid from the bank, so maybe the type of organization they are, if they are, let's say MSME, we do have schemes running under Mudra Yojana and all, right? So that the form of business you are in, at what stage you are, maybe there are a variety of offerings that come in the debt market, which we can avail. That's
I have a slightly different take on the fastest funding, right? And there's no anecdotal data that I have, but just from my experience, I've observed the fastest way where startups, innovators, entrepreneurs have sort of raised funding is from friends, from their seniors in college, right? That's again angel funding, right? But because there's some sort of an affinity, for example, I am Shillong, might have a WhatsApp group for founders, right? And somebody who tried to post that I am looking at this idea, right? Ability of one of them to put in some money is slightly higher because he has that affinity to the college or the institution, right? So I've observed that's way, typically initial rounds is easier to sort of raise, but not to the scale, right? Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 lakhs.
great. I was happy that I got so much of response, both from the participants. I'm afraid my time is less, and we'll take up those questions in one-to-one discussion because the time is less and we have to complete it. So I thank all my fellow panelists here and for their very valuable insight and also the kind of interaction, and still some more questions are there. I would request that over maybe a cup of tea, we can discuss all these things. So I can conclude this session and then move forward.
Thank you to our distinguished moderator and our speakers for sharing their insights with us. So I'll now, I'd now like to request Colonel Amandeep Singh Puri to express our token of gratitude, to express our gratitude to our speakers here with a token of our appreciation. We can do, I'll request our speakers to join us for a group photograph. So now we'll move on to our next panel. To set the context a little bit, overnight success is often measured by product releases and funding rounds. Yet institutional investors tell us the first documents they inspect are board minutes, cap table integrity, and statutory filings. So today's second panel explains how young ventures can embed discipline without stifling agility. So our moderator today is Professor Neeraj Gupta. He's the head of School of Corporate Governance and Public Policy at IICA. Sir, may I invite you to the stage, please? Joining us on the stage as our distinguished panelists for today are Mr. CMA R.S. Bhatti, Council Member ICMAI, Professor Neelam Rani, IIM Shillong. Ms. Shraddhanjali Sharma, Legal Counsel for Startups and MSME. And Mr. Dizian Lung Panme, Deputy Director, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Matthew, for inviting me. I would like to welcome my co-panelists, and will try to justify the job which has been given to me. To my left, Mr. R.S. Bhati, who is a council member to Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India, representing the professional fraternity. Why I'm mentioning this? Because it is important for you to understand that the panel will bring out perspectives from different areas. To my right, Mr. Pennai, who is a Deputy Director in Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and will be sharing the perspectives from the regulator's side. So we have a professional in the panel, we have a regulator in the panel. Then to my extreme right, Professor Neelam Rani, who is in Finance and Control area, professor with Indian Institute of Management, Shillong, representing academia and research fraternity, which again has a very, very significant contribution to the evolving space of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem. Dear friends, compliance and governance, the title which goes to the panel, and the foundations it possess in the early stage is something very crucial. Yesterday when we were witnessing the discussions, there were enough concerns from the founders which were coming in terms of their understanding towards the regulatory framework, their understanding towards different requirements which they need to look at, they need to understand, they need to address, so as to give your own business venture a kind of insulation which helps your institution that you are building, like a baby, to survive, to sustain, and to grow and fly infinity. I'm sure we all understand that as a human, we were babies, and we all, or some of us may have babies, and how protective and possessive we are towards it. There are multiple things we take care. Similarly, in the life cycle of a business enterprise, it be a startup, it may be termed as a startup, because startup these days is a very loose term which we use. In many cases, the organizations whom we call startups are small business ventures which are trying to solve and address to the regional problems, the social problems, socio-economic problems, and for that matter, they have emotional attachment to this aspect, that they protect them in a manner so that they could sustain. The idea of earning name and fame is not at the core. The idea of earning huge money is not there at the core. What is there in the core is that this is my baby. It needs to be taken care, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be groomed in a way so that baby survives, baby grows, baby stand up on hers and his feet, and it flies and establishes itself. So in today's session, what I have planned with the help of my panelists and speakers, that we should understand what are the possible challenges which in normal course startups or early stage entrepreneurs feel. I would like to go to Professor Neelam first to understand. I'm sure she has done extensive research on the subjects as to what do you believe that the early stage entrepreneurs or startups fail as a conundrum or a dilemma towards various compliance issues?
Everyone. So, when it comes to the compliances and the governance issue for the early stage startup, first of all, the focus is so much on the market disruption or the technology disruption. The idea itself is not that much clear that the compliance and governance can be that much important. The previous panel, they discussed, and in fact, one of the incubatee of IIM Shillong 4 or 5 years back from Guwahati, they were working on some logistic related issues, and later on they come to know. However, we were guiding them, but still they didn't bother to go for the trademark of using an established company, and later on had to face a lot of challenges. So however, Dr. Neeraj mentioned that the ownership of that it's my baby and it's a new idea and the new technology solution is not there. But at the same time, the awareness of the importance of the compliances and the governance is also not there. And it is, however, these two things are important for not only the long-term success, raising capital, but also it leads to the failure. And there are various examples of failure, not from those who have started their ventures or startups, but also the failures on part of the graduates of IIM, where the internal control systems were not there. So the important start from selecting a right organization structure for yourself, the way you are incorporating your business, what type of incorporation has been selected by you, to the finally establishing the trust and the culture and the compliances and setting up the governance structure is primarily the hindrance in the early stage start.
Okay, so what comes out is what I could, find out what Neelam has said. The first and foremost thing, because when, and we see, like if you look at the startup ecosystem in the country, spread out in different clusters, addressing Northeast has a different cluster, Bangalore has a different cluster, Delhi, Gurgaon has a different startup cluster. But in most of the places, I feel very happy when I see the engagement of youth in the startups. So youth has some very peculiar strengths available with them. They are energetic, they are enthusiastic, they are full of ideas, full of passion to change the face, how the social issues to be looked at. So what Neelam has said and made us understand, it's very, very important to understand, to have an understanding towards the key issues which startups need. Because idea is there, some proposition is there, some solution is there in your mind, but unless you understand various regulatory aspects, unless you understand various financial aspects, unless you understand various intellectual property related aspects, unless you understand the aspects where you need to comply on data management and data governance, unless you understand on aspects on dealing with your consumers, retaining those consumers, retaining your investors. So these are a couple of aspects where fair level of understanding is needed. Of course, the prioritization could be different. So for that, I would like to go to Mr. Bhati to understand as to how and what should be the easiest way, because these are the budding young people, and out of a long list, they need to develop a priority list also, a to-do list also, what should be understood first, what should be understand next. So with your experience as a professional and engagement, what do you prescribe to them? So some, some tips which I expect from you.
Thank you, Professor Neeraj Gupta, giving me an opportunity to interact with the new budding I think all the startup incubator are sitting with me only. So because I was expecting today how many people will be there, this hall is full of this, then they are very, eager to listen our experiences. Because as Madam was mentioning and Neeraj sir was also mentioning, the thing is like you have to nurture your startup and everything in the world we have to nurture ourselves and we should have a ownership on that only. Because you see, in country if you are having your army and is protecting your country, so they will always tell that this is my country, we are the proud member of this army, and then they are protecting. So the ownership stake is always with them. You go any developed country, if you go and if you put anything on the road and something, so some citizen over there will tell you, so don't litter this our country and something. They have a ownership of their country to be a clean and something. So when you are starting your ownership, when you are coming in a something, so first you have to think that this is my target, I have to do, any hurdle comes, I will go with that and I will face it. Because one of my friend, 2 days back we were sitting, he's a very good KPO he's running and he's having 500 plus people and working for the UK government, UK accounting firms he's running, based at Jodhpur, my small city. Then I was taking some ideas, why don't you fund some startup and something. Then he was telling, so we were having some startup, we were having some people, but the intention and the ethical way of working and the go along is not there, he found. Why? He was telling that initially he was needing some funds he got, later on he changed his target. So he was telling I need to do some part-time job also, and then my startup will, whether it will go or not and something like. So if you are came in this startup, if you are join this, so you have to join with your full target to success it. Because first you have to have a full confidence that my startup will go and succeed. Otherwise, how investor will think of? Because he is giving the money also. There are people in the country also, they park their fund in some startups. They think that because as you are also want to earn some money and some sort of things, you will dilute your equity to the investor who will come. Okay, but first you have to give a full confidence that my startup will give you this sort of a good earning also. So in what we have just taken in what are the early stage challenges we should take. So once you go with your startup, you should keep in mind that this sort of equity I will dilute in the market, and later on I am able to buy. When you go for an interview and some sort of a thing, sir, 5 years down the line, I have a confidence, I will buy. Because the person who comes, the first interviewer will ask you that what is your 5 years down the plan. Because the person who will, like in country, the situation is like you are changing your car every time and something. So investor who are investing, they may change with the technical advancement and all sort of things. If he's asking 5 years down the road, what are your plans and all sort of a thing, you tell, sir, I will buy your equity, no issue. If market nobody is there, then he'll see. You have a full confidence on your own startup, the way you are going, where you are going. So that's give you the early stage challenges that you are coming in that sort of. Somebody was asking, we are not able to do the compliances on a right time and all sort. Because you see, the compliance in India right now in the present scenario, the MCA is doing. Compliance has a no cost, and non-compliance has a huge cost. Talk about the MCA compliances, talk about the GST. Somebody was asking in the previous session that her GST got cancelled due to non-filing of a return and something. That the procedure is there. But if you go, if your startup is new and you need not to file some sort of a data in a GST return and all sort. So there is a very small option is there. You can file with the one click of a button a nil return and file it. Do it. So that you have to expand your vision also with sort of a little bit of this understanding. Once you appoint a consultant, you ask, freely ask. He may be charging. You tell him, if you charge for a year or something like that, I will give you 20% right now. And if these sort of compliances which I can do it, please suggest me. So you have to vision of your skill, because we are a techno-commercial people in this world because the Instagram is our good baby who teach us anything like any times. And everybody, most of the time we are busy with that Instagram also. Our life is going with the 2-3 hours in a per day with that also. Where we are learning or wasting, that is up to us. So the time constant we have, in that also we have to change our things to go ahead. So one of my the view was that you should have a ownership on your startup, that because ownership takes you to the every, because if the nature, if we take in the fashion of a ownership, we can safeguard. It's a tree which gave us the oxygen, we live with the livelihood of that, the rain comes and all sort of things. Okay, so that startup you always have your good ownership, then only the investor will think on you. Compliance and all these, you have a, because thing is the identifying the problem is the one of the biggest issue, in the life, every aspect. If I am identifying my problem, then the solution provider is the world. No?
No, that's a good point, Mr. Bhatia. I got what you
Thank
meant
you.
to say. So, the first thing which Mr. Bhatia has mentioned is really very important to be noted down. We need to take charge of the organization. Of course, you are the owners, no doubt about it. But what ownership he is referring to is not that kind of ownership which we normally feel. The ownership means ownership of each and every situation that your organization is facing today, and also the ownership which you are likely to face tomorrow. And for that matter, what he has mentioned, I'm just reiterating so that it gets reinforced, courage to take that ownership. Once you take that courage, and once you build up that confidence, it will, on the one hand, will help you taking a big picture. What is needed to insulate your organization in terms of different compliances? There could be compliances relating to the corporate ministry. There could be compliances relating to labor, IPR, data protection, environment, food and safety, and so on and so forth, depending upon the nature of your organization. And on the other, this kind of ownership and courage will help you to present a clear vision and big picture before the investors. I'm not talking about the VC funds. I'm talking about simply the banks. Yesterday the discussions were there that people are applying to net fee for grants, people are applying to banks for the startup loans and grants. Once you meet them, I personally know this aspect because my spouse represents a bank and she has dealt with a number of startups when the proposals come to start a small cafe. And when the interactions start, the startup, the person who has got the idea says, this is the cafe, this is the kind of menu that we will keep, this is the kind of pricing, this is the kind of, the clientele that we will be having. But when the bank tries to understand what is your plan to scale it up to the next level, so that banks should also get assured about their money, which they are investing in you to get back, they need a vision, passion and courage, what Mr. Bhati was mentioning. So this is very important. Another aspect, I'll come to Panmay very soon. Another aspect, how many of you use Paytm UPI? Can I have the raised hands? More than 60 to 70% in this room use Paytm UPI. So Paytm is what? Another startup which has now scaled up. It was almost at a similar level, the level your startups are. So Paytm, in its ambitious plan, without taking into consideration the ownership and the courage, what Mr. Bhati was mentioning, applied for a payment bank license from RBI. They got that license, they started operating. But in the haste, in the ambition, they forgot to take care of various compliances which a small payment bank has to do. They didn't attend to that, and they were finding notices and reminders and actions from the RBI, and they had to put their feet down. So this is what our panelists are mentioning. Taking a lead from this, there are many more examples. I'll be giving it to you. We have Mr. Panmay from Ministry of Corporate Affairs, who has seen the overall picture how entrepreneurs behave from a height, because he comes from a regulator and policy body. So, Panmay, I would like to ask, like, how do you see when the ministry in various stakeholder consultations engage with the startups and understand their challenges? Because our purpose is to serve them and provide them various options of incorporations, easy to adopt, less to comply, very economical as far as the cost is concerned. So what are your concerns and observations?
Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. So yes, coming from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and I'll start with the startup. If we understand what is a startup, now the DPIIT considers that up to 10 years from since incorporation, it means it should be incorporated or registered as a private company or as a partnership firm or as an LLP, and it should have a turnover of less than 100 crores, doing business to innovate, develop, or scalable, wealth creation. So those are the conditions or factors that the DPIIT notifies as saying that this we will consider as a startup. So the first thing is that you need to get incorporated as a LLP or a private limited company or a firm. But coming to the private limited company, I'll focus on the private limited company. So the ministry has a form called the Spice Plus form. Now, when you start a company, what usually is required? You require that the company be incorporated. You have the certificate of incorporation. You require that the director have a DIN. You require that the company has a name, a unique name. You require that the company has a PAN, at the same time a bank account. So the ministry has this form which is like a one-window form where you apply, you get the DIN number, you get the name that you want. At the same time, you get the PAN, as well as the bank account. So this is a facilitation by the ministry which allows that startup can easily open or incorporate a company. And as per the latest data that we have, it is seen that the ministry is able to incorporate a new company within 2 working days. So this is an encouragement to everyone that you can easily incorporate a company as well. And once your company is incorporated, I'll come to the compliances. So once your company is incorporated, there are few compliances which a company must do. So we already heard some issues that were being faced, but I'll put it down into 2 major, just bracket. One is the annual filings, meaning to say every year you have to file this. So this is like the financial statement, the balance sheet, or let's say a return on deposits that were taken. And the other, I will put it in the bracket of the event-based filings, meaning to say that as a director, there's a new director coming in, do I need to file a form for that? The auditors is coming in, do I need to file a form for that? If some orders are coming in from the, let's say, a regulatory body or tribunal, do I need to file an return for that? So if the startup founders or the management thinks in that way, meaning to say that annually they have to file few forms, at the same time, event-based, if I am doing this, do I need to get the compliances done? So if this sort of thought process is there, I believe, and I believe that every, founders should be aware and should, as it is said, the company is like a baby. So if you have a baby, you want to see that they are fed on time, they sleep on time. So in that way, think it as a baby and say, okay, if this is happening to my company, is there some kind of compliances that I require to do? So if you go in that way also, I think the compliances would be, at least 80% or so, I think you can easily cover that also. So at the same time, you'll get in consultation with the other, professionals who will help you while moving or in compliances of the company. So if that is done, I think there'll be, a lot of help will come in.
Great, great. So very interesting points which Panmay has mentioned. Number one, the first point is we all as entrepreneurs and startup founders, and I'm mixing what Panmay has said with what Mr. Bhatti has said. we need to be very, very clear, because I was seeing different reflections and different mixed observations yesterday when I was interacting personally with the startup founders, that some want to operate as a sole proprietorship firm. Others want to operate as a partnership firm, like two friends have joined, or three friends have joined, or some family or extended family members have joined, and they want to remain like it. But what he has mentioned is very, very important in terms of our own clarity, that for how much time, up till what scale, we can still continue with the present structure of our organization. And should also understand what Government of India, through Ministry of Corporate Affairs, has provided windows to facilitate the young and budding entrepreneurs and startup founders, so that they could convert the sole tradership or partnership form of entity to a more structured entity. Because at any point in time in future, you will be interacting with the venture capitalists or angel investors, and for that, what they will appreciate will not be the form of sole tradership. They will appreciate you are more structured, because the more you are structured, the better assurances they get against the risks which they have to assume while investing their money with you. So that's what he is mentioning. In order to facilitate the startup system, ministry has given a SPICE form, like income tax, you file income tax return, there is a SARL form. How many of you are aware of the SARL form, SARL income tax filing form? Can I have the raised hand? SARL form, one-page SARL form. So many of us are aware of the one-page form, which where earlier income tax filings were requiring chartered accountants. Now every person who is even a graduate can fill up the one-page SARL form and deposit income tax. Similarly, the ministry, in order to facilitate, has come up with a SPICE Plus form, which not only in 2 days' time registers your name, gives you a name, a registration, trademark you can separately secure from the trademark authority, and by filling up that form, you will get your name, you will get your company registered as a one-person company or a private limited company, you will get the PAN number, you will get the GST number, TEN number, multiple services at one doorstep. So this is the kind of framework available. But in case of lack of awareness, many of the startup founders are at times misguided that the processes are long. Ease of doing has made it very simplified. That's what Panmay has said. I'm going back to Neelam for a very, very quick remark, just very sharp, one-liner sort of thing. Do you suggest any tip for them? I'm not asking on compliance, I'm asking on governance, because they need to be strong in terms of managing the affairs, managing finances, managing consumers, managing investors, managing the local bodies, and managing other stakeholders who impact. So one-liner tip, because they are interested in the tips.
Very good question. And first of all, as both of my colleagues, they mentioned about the compliances. I would like to differentiate the governance from the compliances, where the compliances help you to handle and protect yourself from legal